Before God elevates a person, before he places the crown of destiny upon their head, before he entrusts them with a divine purpose, he examines their heart. You see, God does not look at your degrees, your eloquence, your beauty, your muscles, or your wealth. He scans your character. He searches for certain qualities that make you usable in his grand design. Today, I want to share with you 9 characters God looks for in a person before he chooses them. But before we continue, if this message is coming to you at a time when you needed it the most, I want you to type 11 in the comment section to seal your divine blessings. And don't forget to subscribe and join this family of spiritual warriors, because here, we awaken the chosen one within you every single day. 1. Humility. God resists the proud but gives grace to the humble. Before God lifts a person, he checks their humility deeply and thoroughly. Humility is not about thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. It is knowing that every good thing you have, your breath, your intelligence, your opportunities, your gifts, is from God. Can you still bow your head when you're right, refusing to rub your correctness into the wounds of others? Can you apologize even when it wasn't your fault, simply to restore peace and keep your heart unpolluted by bitterness? Can you still wash the feet of others when you are crowned king, knowing that the greatest is the servant of all? Lucifer fell not because he was weak, but because he was proud. Pride makes you compete with God, but humility makes you partner with God. Jesus, though he was equal with God, humbled himself and became obedient to death on a cross. And because of this, God exalted him and gave him the name above every other name. Humility creates space for God's power to flow freely through you. The humble do not block divine rivers with their ego. God looks for the humble because he knows they will not steal his glory. They will remain grounded when praised, calm when insulted, gentle when wronged, and grateful when honored. True humility is magnetic to divine favor because it positions your heart to carry God's greatness without it destroying you. If you desire to be chosen, clothe yourself daily with humility. 2. Obedience. To obey is better than sacrifice. God does not choose people who argue with every instruction or question every divine command with stubborn logic. Obedience is the proof of trust. Look at Abraham. God told him to leave his father's house and go to a land he would show him. Abraham obeyed without a map, without knowing where he was going, simply trusting the voice that called him. Look at Noah. God told him to build an ark when there was no sign of rain, no evidence of a coming flood, no historical precedent for such an event. Noah obeyed without questioning, building day after day for decades while being mocked by his generation. Obedience is not always logical, but it is always spiritual. It is choosing God's wisdom above your own calculations. When God told Peter to let down his net after fishing all night with no results, Peter obeyed despite his professional disappointment, and the miracle came. If you want to be chosen, cultivate an obedient spirit. An obedient heart says, "Lord, I don't understand, but I trust you." Obedience unlocks dimensions of favor that prayer and fasting alone cannot. Many people are fasting and praying for breakthroughs in areas where God is simply waiting for their obedience. Remember, delayed obedience is disobedience. Partial obedience is disobedience. True obedience is immediate, complete, and done with joy. God promotes those who obey because they can carry out his assignments on earth without rebellion or stubborn delay. 3. Faithfulness. Before God gives you nations, he tests your faithfulness with little things that seem insignificant to the eyes of men, but are of eternal significance in his sight. Can you be faithful in your current job, even if it feels beneath your qualifications? Can you be faithful with your daily prayers, even when you feel dry and uninspired? Can you be faithful with your time, choosing divine priorities over personal comfort? Can you be faithful with your body, honoring God with purity and discipline? Can you be faithful with your finances, tithing, giving, and managing wisely what he has entrusted to you? Can you be faithful in your relationships, loving, honoring, and serving without hidden agendas? God is searching for people who will not compromise under pressure, who remain dependable in drought and in rain. Remember David. He was faithful tending sheep in the hidden hills before he was anointed to shepherd Israel. Even after being anointed king, he returned to serve Saul faithfully as a harpist. Faithfulness is doing the right thing when no one is watching, and continuing to do it, even when no one applauds. Faithfulness proves your stability, your loyalty, and your readiness to handle greater responsibility. If you cannot manage a flock of sheep, how will you lead a nation of warriors? Faithfulness is not about big stages, it is about a big heart in small spaces. God rewards faithfulness because it is the foundation upon which eternal destinies are built. 4. Compassion. God is love. If you do not carry compassion for others, how can He entrust you with His people who are broken, lost, rebellious, and weary? When Jesus saw the multitude, He was moved with compassion. He did not merely see crowds, He saw souls. He saw their hidden wounds, their silent cries, their desperate hunger for meaning and healing. Compassion unlocks miracles because it aligns your heart with God's heart. Jesus healed the sick, fed the hungry, and taught the lost because His heart burned with compassion. Compassion is not pity, it is love in action. It is feeling the pain of others so deeply that you are moved to help, to pray, to give, to intercede, to sacrifice your comfort for their breakthrough. If you want to be chosen by God, cultivate compassion. Without compassion, power becomes abuse. Without compassion, influence becomes manipulation. Without compassion, leadership becomes tyranny. God entrusts His power to those whose hearts are tender towards His children. Moses interceded for rebellious Israel because he carried God's compassion. Jesus wept over Jerusalem because he carried God's compassion. Paul endured persecution to preach to the Gentiles because he carried God's compassion. If your heart is cold towards people, God will not entrust you with their destinies. Ask God to break your heart for what breaks His, to feel what He feels, and to love as He loves. Compassion is the purest evidence of divine maturity. 5. Patience. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness tending sheep before God sent him back to Egypt to deliver His people. Joseph spent over 10 years as a slave and prisoner before he became Prime Minister of Egypt. David was anointed as a teenager but waited many long, painful years before he sat on the throne as king. Patience is proof of your maturity. It shows you trust God's timing more than your own desperation. Impatience births Ishmael, a product of human effort, struggle, and compromise. But patience births Isaac, the promise, the miracle, the destiny child born in God's perfect time. God chooses people who can wait without losing faith, who can endure seasons of silence without losing hope, who can be hidden for years without growing bitter. Waiting seasons are training seasons. In waiting, your character is refined, your faith is deepened, your wisdom is sharpened, your humility is perfected, and your obedience is tested. Patience teaches you that God is never late. Though He often appears slow, His delays are not denials, they are preparations. If you rush ahead of God, you will build towers that collapse, marriages that break, ministries that crush your soul. Patience protects you from premature exposure. When you finally step into what God has promised, you will have the strength to sustain it, because you allowed patience to do its perfect work in you. 6. Integrity. God examines your integrity in secret before He blesses you in public. Integrity is who you are when no one is watching, when there is no applause to keep you motivated and no consequence to keep you afraid. Can you remain pure when no one is watching and temptations offer secret pleasure? Can you remain honest when a lie could save you pain, embarrassment, or financial loss? Can you keep your promises even when it hurts, even when breaking them would benefit you? Remember Job. He lost everything, his children, his wealth, his health, his reputation, yet his integrity remained intact. He refused to curse God, even when his own wife told him to do so. God looks for integrity because without it, your anointing will become your downfall. Gifts can take you to places where only character can keep you. Many rise with charisma but fall because of lack of integrity. Integrity means your words and actions are aligned with truth. It means your motives remain pure, not polluted by greed, lust, or pride. It means you remain faithful to your spouse even in seasons of loneliness. Remain honest in business even when losses loom. Remain upright in ministry even when shortcuts offer faster growth. God promotes the man or woman of integrity because he knows they will represent him with purity and remain unmoved by bribes, threats, or flattery. Integrity is your true qualification for divine trust. 7. Courage. Do you know why God kept telling Joshua, be strong and courageous? Because leadership demands courage. Destiny demands courage. Purpose demands courage. Without courage, your gifts remain dormant, your vision remains unfulfilled, and your calling remains silent. God chooses people who will stand up to giants like David, who will walk into the Red Sea like Moses, who will face Pharaoh with trembling knees but unbreakable faith. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward despite fear. It is choosing to trust God's power more than your own comfort. Esther risked her life to save her people. Daniel refused to stop praying even under threat of death. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refused to bow to an idol even when the furnace was heated 7 times hotter. Courage is born when you realize God is bigger than your enemies, greater than your weaknesses, and stronger than your fears. If you want to be chosen by God, ask Him for courage. Courage to stand for truth when lies are popular. Courage to be pure when corruption is celebrated. Courage to walk away from what kills your soul, even if it costs your comfort. Courage to follow God's calling even when no one understands. Without courage, destiny remains a beautiful idea locked in the prison of fear. God promotes the courageous because they are willing to do what others fear to attempt. 8. Gratitude. Gratitude is the magnet of blessings. Before God chooses someone for greater heights, He quietly observes their attitude of gratitude in the silent moments of their life. Do you complain about everything? About your job, your parents, your spouse, your children, your country, your finances, your ministry, your health? Or do you thank Him for the little things, the breath in your lungs, the roof over your head, the food on your table, the strength to wake up each morning? Many people pray without gratitude, forgetting that thanksgiving is the password to God's presence. Jesus fed 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fish because He first gave thanks. He didn't complain about how little it was. He didn't pity Himself for not having enough to feed the crowd. He simply lifted what was available and gave thanks. Gratitude multiplies. It turns scarcity into abundance because it shifts your focus from what you lack to what God can do with what you have. Gratitude keeps your heart joyful even when circumstances are painful. God chooses grateful people because they carry joy in the journey no matter how hard it gets. Grateful people encourage others. Grateful people worship freely. Grateful people do not sabotage their blessings with bitterness. God knows that if you are ungrateful with little, you will be ungrateful with much. Gratitude is proof that you trust His goodness even when you don't understand His methods. If you want to be chosen, cultivate a lifestyle of thanksgiving in all things. 9. Purity of heart. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Before God chooses you, He cleanses your heart. The heart is where your true motives are hidden, where your secret desires are stored, where your silent intentions are nurtured. You may deceive people with holy words and righteous actions, but you can never deceive God. He sees the pride beneath your generosity, the lust beneath your flattery, the greed beneath your hard work, the jealousy beneath your compliments, the bitterness beneath your silence. God looks for those whose intentions are pure, whose motives are not driven by selfish ambition, hidden rivalry, or vain glory, but by love for Him and for humanity. Purity is not perfection, it is sincerity before God. It is coming before Him saying, Lord, search me, cleanse me, purify my thoughts, my motives, my desires, and align them with yours. Purity of heart means you love people without hidden agendas. You serve without expecting praise. You give without needing recognition. You obey without needing rewards. The pure in heart see God because their eyes are not clouded by jealousy, hatred, greed, or lust. They hear His voice clearly because their spiritual ears are not blocked by selfish noise. If you want to be chosen, ask God daily to purify your heart, to remove every motive that does not please Him, and to create in you a clean heart that burns with love for Him alone. Purity is your greatest beauty before God. If you have been wondering why God hasn't chosen you yet, perhaps this message is His gentle whisper to your soul today. Work on these 9 characters: humility, obedience, faithfulness, compassion, patience, integrity, courage, gratitude, and purity of heart. Because when God finds a person with these qualities, He will move heaven and earth to position them for greatness. Remember, God does not call the qualified, He qualifies the called. But He qualifies those whose hearts are ready to be used. This is the Chosen Seer channel. This is the Chosen Seer channel. If this message touched your spirit today, type 1111 in the comments for divine blessings and subscribe for daily wisdom to unlock your destiny. Thank you for watching.